Hello everyone, my dear friends! Well, the moment has finally come, and I have managed to take on the psychological responsibility to start the Hacker Marathon base. In fact, the name is spontaneous, because I didn't have enough time to come up with something cooler. Well, I think this name will interest you. What is this Hacker Marathon for? It is the best alternative to any paid online IT courses. Online, offline, it doesn't matter. I will literally provide you with all the most material from scratch so that you can find yourself in programming, and it absolutely doesn't matter. Whether you want to build a career in IT or if you are already a project manager or a business analyst, these skills will help you broaden your horizons. I know a lot of people who have their own business or who hold managerial positions in various companies, and they are quite proficient in programming skills, script writing skills, and everything else. So it absolutely doesn't matter whether you are a school student or a housewife, a director of factories or steamships. This course will be completely transparent for you, and you will be able to achieve what you want. You will be able to gain the knowledge you need. The most important thing within my course, there will be absolutely no snobbery. You will be able to ask and discuss the most foolish questions. Foolish questions. I only mentioned it because there are no foolish questions. There are only questions that are unclear. I recall my negative experience when at 18 I went to enroll in paid courses. At that time my parents agreed to allocate a certain amount of money. The price was quite high, but even then my desire was immense. And so I went there. I said, okay, I'm ready to sign a contract for a year. You should have seen those crazy snobs, the teachers who just started to humiliate me there. Right there, they started to grill me on the basics. In the end, they accept absolutely everyone, but you have to go through this stage where they humiliate you, thereby boosting their own importance. Do you know what they gave me then? They immediately asked me to convert a decimal number to binary, that is, from the decimal system to the binary system. Guys, honestly, right now from memory, I wouldn't be able to do it today. I thought about it today. I couldn't remember. And in literally 30 seconds, I restored that knowledge because I don't even remember when I last needed it. The last time I needed it was when I was calculating pixels in one application. But it doesn't matter. It's very rare, and you apply certain knowledge at a certain moment and then it just disappears from your mind. So, they humiliated me, I didn't like it, and I told those courses to go to hell, and then I started from scratch on my own. I remember it like it was yesterday. The site was called HTML Book. When I opened it, the knowledge just flowed like a river. I found it so interesting that I couldn't tear myself away, and the future already seemed so bright. Because every time I remembered the sour face of that instructor. In the paid courses, I didn't want to do anything anymore, but when I realized that I was already in the process. From the first day doing something, it immediately gave me inspiration and motivation. The course will be in a follow-along format. Also, after each lesson, I will leave a link to a sandbox where you can directly open the code. And I will explain in the first lesson what it is. On your part, you will need to follow along with me right in the comments. Your expectations, suggestions, questions. In parallel, when I will be, while recording the video, I will simultaneously talk about the theory, which you might need to study on your own. It's like in college where you are given material, and at home you work through it further. But this is not college, because I said I would explain as simply as possible. Why did I say that I overcame myself to take on this responsibility? Yes, because the course is not just a random video that I can record at any time. It implies a regular schedule of approximately 2 or 3 lessons per week. I have to release material because you can't interrupt the learning process here. My personal motivation is to share all of my vast experience. By the way, for those who don't know, I have my own. I chose the KLAI app for iOS for the course because the entire internet relies on V. I don't see any point in starting with Python, and thanks to VHOD you can quickly and concisely understand client-server interaction, and so on. And from there the horizons are simply vast. For example, I initially went a bit in the wrong direction and started studying the PI server part, which wasn't very strategically correct. And we will have front-end JavaScript, citas HTML, CSS, but JS For you, these might just be words now, but in the future, you'll be able to easily understand and navigate all of this feeling like a fish in water. I thought it would be a crime on my part if I've been running my YouTube channel for a long time and I don't share this knowledge. On the contrary, I started a YouTube channel at one time to distance myself from my main activity and try something new, but I admitted to myself that I am best at swimming like a fish in water. Everything related to information technology, so I decided to establish myself here. Personally, my favorite programming language and what I love to do is iOS development. But under no circumstances should you start your career with iOS development because it is a very specialized field. And even if you analyze the number of vacancies and jobs, there are very few jobs for iOS. Therefore, the web is your springboard, your starting point from which you will push off. I highly recommend starting with the web, subscribing to this channel, and follow my lessons. The script is already written, at least 3 months in advance. The first couple of lessons, this will be a pure superficial base so that you at least understand how to start. And then it will get really interesting. We will not just study theoretical material, we will actually create a real product. A real copy of the product. Back in the day when I was learning, I was thrilled when I made a copy of Instagram, a copy of Twitter, and we will actually recreate these designs with our own hands, because when you learn to replicate something external, you can create absolutely anything. You know how the peak of mastery is achieved in music or in creating music? When you hear a track and can reproduce that track exactly in your DAW system, the same track. That's how the peak of mastery is achieved. We will do exactly the same, only in programming. I will try very hard to turn off my inner perfectionism to focus more on the result. That's not the fuss. Revisions and special effects, as I usually love during video editing. On my part, I will try to promise you a good picture, good sound, and a relatively normal screen recording. In parallel, we will be catching up together. I will insert as many relevant or irrelevant IT English terms as possible, so that in the future, when some snob decides to show off in front of you and uses these words every other word, you won't be intimidated. It's like with swear words. If you insert a swear word, once and rarely, then it's not a big deal. It's fine. But if you speak entirely in swear words, it starts to grate on the ears. It's the same with this. That's why we will be improving our English in parallel. And of course, there are plans to create a private database, a private Telegram channel, where I will share absolutely everything. I will share templates, resumes. I will explain how to build a career, how to pass an interview, how to find your first job. And as I said, this course will be useful not only for those who specifically want to become programmers, but for absolutely anyone who wants to build a career. And naturally to start earning, of course, 500, 1000, 2, 3, 4. Therefore, I hope I was able to convey to you my introduction in the video, the path we are going to take together. Let it be, this will be a separate playlist. Hacker, base, and then I will somehow decompose and break it down into understandable modules and parts. The main thing is to start. All I want to do is present the material correctly and organize the content properly. Try to somehow organize this chaos. This was DC Pro Max with you. Thank you for your attention. See you in the first lesson, which you will remember for the rest of your life as I remember mine. The first lessons